But Richard and Shirley and I, we all went on this trip together. But as you know, Richard is totally focused on skippers. Totally focused. He wouldn't even look at another butterfly. Just skippers. And so, but Shirley was taking pictures of everything. Anything that moved and crawled, whatever, or flew. So she took thousands of pictures of everything. But anyway, they did their presentation last year on skippers. And I told him, I said, you take care of the skippers, and I'll take care of the true butterflies. So I'm getting the other half of the story here. And this was really a fun trip. You can see why Ecuador is called Ecuador. The Quito, where we started out at 9,000 feet elevation, by the way. When you fly into an airport at 9,000 feet, the plane didn't have to descend much. I mean, it just kind of just leveled right in there. But we started out in Quito, flew to Quito, and you can see how close it is to the equator. And so it's definitely right on there. The adventure I'm going to take you on, I'm going to give you a little sightseeing, a real short sightseeing tour of Quito, because it's a very interesting town. And I really enjoyed the old part of Quito. I thought it was just really fascinating, and I could have even spent more days there, but we wanted to get to the butterflies, so we moved on. But Quito's interesting. We're going to then take a short hour flight from Quito to Coca. Now, Coca is right on the Napo River, and it's just barely over the Andes. And so we're really starting in the Amazon region there. And from Coca, we're going to move down river to the Napo River. And by the way, when I gave my presentation in Peru, one of the places that I stopped at was a park in Peru called Exploro Napo, which was on the Napo River, but it was in Peru because the Napo River flows, of course, into the Amazon, and this is one of the major tributaries. So we're going to start at number 1, La Selva Lodge, and I'll show you the good and bad points of each lodge. And then we're going to move upriver to number 2, which is Sasha Lodge. And I believe, Heidi, you've been to Sasha Lodge.
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah. I can see why you went there. Sasha Lodge is number 2. Then we're going to take you back up river to Coca again. Then we're going to take a little bus ride, a 5-hour bus ride. It doesn't look like it'd be 5 hours, but it was with all the stops we made, from Coca to Tena. And if you noticed, the Napo River up there is getting pretty close to the mountains. So we wanted to sample the upper Napo, just really on the border of almost, the Andes and the actual tropical part. And that turned out to be the best. It's the best butterfly I've ever had in the world. And I've been in lots of places butterflying in the world. The very best butterfly I ever had was on a 1.5 kilometers road at this lodge, which is Cabanas Alanyawi, which we stayed at number 3. And so we had to go across from Tena. We took a taxi, 20-minute taxi ride. We had to go across the bridge, and then we went to the lodge. And so this is kind of what you're going to see. So you're going to see a little bit of pieces of all that. And then we took the adventure, which was wonderful. We took a bus ride from Tena all the way back up to Quito. So we had a chance to go right through the Andes, and it was really, and this was a remarkable trip. I just loved it. Okay, so once again, running down. We're going to start you out at Quito, then we're going to go to Coca, and then we're going to go to the first lodge, La Selva. Then we're going to come back upriver to Sasha, and then we're going to come back to Coca again, go to Tena, and then we're going to end up at Cabanas Alanyawi, and then from there we'll eventually make it back to Quito. So that's the trip I'm taking you on. This is old Quito. I could have taken pictures of new Quito, but I just love the old city, and I only have an hour, and I took many, many pictures of Quito. I think it's a really neat city. 9,000 feet elevation, and it's really funny because it's built in a long, elongated valley between actually 2 mountain ridges in the Andes. So it's kind of nestled in a long and thin valley. And the new part, of course, is down at the one end of it, and we spent most of our time in the old part because that's the most interesting part. We saw museums, we saw indigenous native museums, the gold museum. We went to 3 or 4 Spanish churches. Remember, the Spanish had a big influence in here. Boy, you could see it. And and there's some really neat old buildings that we had a chance to see. So this was really fun. It was fun really exploring Quito, and I highly recommend it if you ever go to Ecuador. Spend some time in Quito. This is one of the, I just took a few pictures of Quito to show you tonight. So I took many, but this is a few. This is the Plaza Grande, which you guys heard, probably the infamous Plaza Grande. If you remember in, I believe it was September, they had a little problem in Quito. They had a rebellion, remember? The police or something were going to get their pay cut or whatever. They were unhappy, and that took place in this plaza. So they had a little bit of trouble, but I don't think it was anything. I don't think any guns were fired or anything like that, but they did have a protest there. This is one of the oldest hotels. This square, by the way, is just beautiful. It's got all kinds of neat buildings around it, and I just took a couple pictures to show you here. This one is the old hotel. Really a cool place.
How old?
Well, this was supposed to be one of the original buildings of Old Quito, so I imagine it goes back probably 100, maybe 200 years. I don't know, at least 100 years. It's an old building, and it's just beautiful. It's just so ornately built, and they kept it up too. Now, as you go down the streets of Old Quito, when you get to the end of Old Quito, you have a ridge, and on the top of this ridge, now this is 10,000 feet up here. The Penacolo, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. I don't know Spanish very well, but it's a Spanish word. And the statue on top there is the Virgin of the Gardo. And we hired a guide. The three of us decided, hey, let's just go ahead and pull in and get a guide so they can take us around Old Quito. And so we had this Ecuadorian take us around, and we said, we want to go up and see that statue. So, okay, we got in the old taxi cab, and we went up to the top and take a good close look at it. And that is on top now. Now, isn't it amazing? You go to 10,000 feet. You don't even think about it. I mean, you know, we live here at sea level, and here we fly in at 9,000 feet. Now we're up at 10,000 feet, but it gets even better than that later on here. And take a look at this. To the right of us, the clouds were stacking up on the right. I said, Quito is built between two ridges. Well, this is the ridge to the right now, which was to the west. There were clouds built up against it, but there are three volcanoes. Volcanoes, like Mount Rainier. Well, can be seen. That's a good question. I can see one 10,000 feet. I imagine that's possibly another, but I'm guessing maybe another 6,000, 7,000 feet. So we're way above Mount Rainier. Way above Mount Rainier.
It's about 1,600.
Pardon?
About 16.
About 16,000. Yeah, I think that sounds reasonable to me from the perspective where. Now this is looking down from the statue, down how Quito is built. But this doesn't show the whole sweeping valley. You can kind of see how the valley goes, and it's going to go way down, keep going from the old part to the new part. And then you can see the ridges on each side. And that's how it's built. So it's just, everything is tucked into this valley, which is kind of neat. Oh, we had to go into the indigenous market, so there's a couple of pictures, so we had more fun. I got a beautiful tablecloth for my daughter. That's what she requested. She says, I need a tablecloth. And then she knew that Ecuador was well known for its cloth, and it was. The market was just full of cloth. Look at the beautiful cloth they have there. It's just unbelievable. So I brought her home a really nice tablecloth that she enjoys very much. Now, one of the excursions we took is we decided to go up the cable car. The Germans built a cable car system that goes up to a ridge. Now look at this ridge, 13,000 feet. You get up on there and you think, God, I'm only 1,000 feet short of Mount Rainier here. You know, and boy, did we feel it. Yeah. They had signs up there that said, walk slowly, and they had oxygen centers in there. You go into the visitors area, they had places where you could get oxygen. You know, I thought, what? But when we started walking around, Richard stayed down below. He says, I'm not going to go up there. So Shirley and I did it. We wanted to explore a little bit. But we found very quickly that you don't go very fast, because you didn't get a lot of breath up there. 13,000 feet. But what blew me away is, once you get on top of the ridge, and you look to the mountains, there's bigger mountains. And so we were talking about 15,000 feet. Oh, give me a break. We're talking a lot higher than that. I don't know what this peak was, because no one there, we didn't have any information on this particular mountain, but I looked and there's lots of them higher than we were. And we were sitting at 13,000 feet. So you can imagine the top of that peak, what it would be. So the Andes are pretty tall. Okay, so then what we did is we took an hour plane trip from Quito, and this was done by the people. We had a package deal with the lodges, and what they did is we had a gal come and get us and bring us and said, okay, we're taking you through this line, follow me, and oh, it was just first class. And they took us to the plane, and it's a little fly over the Andes down to Coca. And this is Coca, and this is your first look at the Napo River. But I want you to...
Did you have a lot of coca there?
No, we actually didn't.
I hear it's good to chew on.
No, we actually didn't. No, we didn't. We didn't spend any time in Coca, to be honest with you. We got down there, got into their office, and we talked to them, and they got us set up, and they got us moving. And but this is, I want you to notice how large the river is down here. Because when we get up to Cabanas, Al, and Yahweh, you're going to see that it's really much smaller because you're getting closer to the mountains. You know, this has got some tributaries to get into it. But these are the boats that they commonly use. Ours wasn't totally enclosed. We had kind of a canvas on top, and it was open, which was just fine because the air was so nice and refreshing as you go down the river. Of course, they go about 50 miles an hour now. So they got twin outboards on these things. Boy, they move. These things move fast. And but anyway, it was about 2.5 hour ride in a boat. And this is the bridge going from Coca across. Of course, I just wanted to show you what one of the bridges they built, right? And that gives you a good chance to see the Napo River. And then we started on down the river, and we came along this one group of people, and they were enjoying the river. And notice the little ones are all in the water, and the older ones, you can see, were probably getting ready to go to school because they have their backpacks on. I assumed that they were going to school, but the little ones were saying, "Hey, I'm going to take a dip." And of course, people, look at that and say, "Piranhas! Piranhas! These people are all going to be eaten alive." But they forget that the piranha does not like swift water. It does not like swift water. There's no piranha in there. No piranha? No, they don't like the swift water at all. They have other fish in there that they catch, but not the piranhas. To get to the piranha, you have to get to still water. You have to get to the backwater areas, which they call black water in the tropics, and they're really still, almost like marshes. Then there's piranha. So these people are perfectly safe swimming in the river.
Do the piranha like to eat people?
What's that?
Do the piranha like to eat people?
Well,
They bite.
they would bite you, and I suppose if you were bleeding, you might have a problem with them, but normally not. In fact, I'll give you a case when we get further along here about that, so I'll answer your question more fully. Now, when we, I didn't know this about the lodges. I thought the lodges were going to be on the Napo River. No, the two lodges are on lakes. Well, this one, La Selva, the first one too, is about a 2-mile walk. You didn't go to La Selva, you just went to Santo. Okay.
We were there.
You were to La Selva. You remember the walk on that?
But then you take a canoe ride after.
Yes, you do. And you think, what is this? I thought it was going to be right on the Napo River. This is the boardwalk we took, but it was beautiful going through the jungle and everything. It was just absolutely wonderful, but it was a 2-mile walk. And I thought, well, people better be kind of aware if they're going to go to this, if they're, have trouble getting around. No one's going to enjoy a 2-mile walk just to get to the boat. Now this is just to get to the boat. And you can see here's the end of the walk, and we get into the boat. But this was so gorgeous because they take you through kind of an outlet of the lake. And it's just, look at this. This is jungle. This is what it looks like. It's so neat. All the overhanging branches and everything. And we were fortunate enough not to get very close to get pictures of it, but there were a bunch of howler monkeys up in here. And they were screaming and yelling and everything, but we couldn't get close enough to get, howlers are really hard to get pictures of. They don't like people. They don't hang around people. And so they were kind of remote from us, but we could sure hear them screaming. But this was really neat. I thought, oh, this is living here. Going through this beautiful jungle. And then we got to the main lake. Now we go along, and I looked in this lock. I says, "What is that?" And I got my telephoto lens out, and I said, "My goodness, they're all turtles. And they're all sitting on the log, from the lake." But this is in the main part of the lake. Now this is where the piranha are. They're in the lake. Lots of piranha in the lake. Okay, and then this is getting to the lodge. Now, inside the lodge, this is the main eating area, this is the main reception area, this is where the bar is, where people hang out, and it's just the main kind of center. But as you walk up behind this, which you can't see right now, but I'll show you pictures, you have all the cabins that you get into. And so it's kind of cool. But anyway, this is the approach to it. And this was along the walkway where the cabins are. And I just had to get a picture of this because I thought it was really neat artwork. They did. And, you remember that? You saw that there, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot, what time of year was this? What?
This is, we started out the last day of September, so it's mostly October. Yeah, this is in early October.
What species of bird was that on the upper left?
Yeah, are you asking me about birds? No. I don't know, I'll go back. If anybody knows what it is. Oh, that looks like a toucan.
No, the upper
a
left.
toucan kind.
Upper left.
Oh, the upper left, I don't know, it looks like some kind of a hawk.
I would say probably a zone-tailed hawk.
Did you have the Watson that hung out by the bar? The ones
Oh, those are cool.
hairdos?
Oh, I didn't see.
Bad hairdo.
Well, you know the problem that I found with Birdie there, I didn't actually bird, but Shirley did. She had the guide out all the time. And she was after everything. But you know how Shirley is. Everybody knows Shirley, knows how she is. Anyway, so she was going birding. But the problem I had, the frustration was I could hear the birds. When we go in the jungle, you hear them everywhere. Can you see them? No. And Shirley admitted to me, says, well, you know, birding, it's okay. It's fair game. If you can recognize a bird call, then you've seen the bird. I says, now wait a second. That doesn't make sense to me. If you can't even see the bird, how do you put it on your list? He said, oh, that's the way it is. If you hear them and you can identify the sound, okay. I said, that's fine. I'm not a bird, as you can see. I enjoy birds. I have no problem with birds, but I'm just, if I got into that, I need another life. Because the butterflies, it keeps me too busy. This is the walkway that goes down, and then if you keep going, you go to the jungle. There's a butterfly house back there. Remember the butterfly house? Then if you keep going, there's trails that go through the jungle, and they were wonderful. They were just great.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is what you stayed in, and yeah, they're bamboo, they're thatched roof. The electricity goes on at 5:30 in the morning, goes off at 10 at night, and then they have kerosene lamps. So if you want to get up and walk around at midnight, you've got kerosene lamps to go by, or a flashlight. We were all brought flashlights. We were told to bring flashlights, and we knew we would use them. So that's what we did. But usually we were so tired at the end of the day after we spent 4 days at this lodge. And we were so tired at the end of the day because we spent all the day in the jungle. When the light was up, or the sun was up, we were off into the jungle. We're ready. So we spent most of our time in the back there. Although I spent a lot of time in the open court area. I don't know if you did at all, because there's some really good butterfly right by the butterfly house. You know how it's open there? Well, there's not a lot of open areas in the jungle. There are some, but it's not a lot. So there were new species, different species there. So I spent a lot of time kind of walking around the butterfly house, getting photographs of butterflies there.
Where'd you get it?
And this is what the rooms are like inside. Mosquito netting. You have an overhead fan until 10 o'clock at night. And it's very, very rustic.
Yeah.
It's very, very rustic. Let me show you there's your shower.
Yeah.
There's the shower head. You remember that?
Yeah.
They supposedly hot water, but kind of lukewarm maybe, at the most. Actually, it was mostly cool to me.
Wasn't it solar hot water?
What's that?
Solar hot water.
Yeah, it was solar. Yeah, but it still wasn't hot.
Yeah.
Not ours anyway. But yeah, and so, but it was fine because we usually got so hot and got so sweaty out in the jungle. By the time we come back, we got a shower and it felt good anyway. You could have ice cold water, it would have been fine. But anyway, this is how rustic that is. In fact, it's so rustic you can see holes in between. So if you're sitting there taking a shower, you don't know who's coming by and taking a good look. This is almost bad as the airport today.
Would there be people, like you see the eyes and the cracks there?
Yeah. There were people walking by and you could see them outside. You know? Whoa!
But no, like close-up eyes, like right up against the crack.
No, I didn't catch anybody. I suppose it
You might know
could.
a difference.
Now, this was the plus. Now, I showed you kind of the negatives, although it wasn't too bad. We knew that we were going to be rustic. We knew that already, so we didn't have our hopes set that we were going to, have a really grandiose time. It wasn't like a 5-star hotel. But this is what was good. So they had the best food of any place I've ever been in the jungles. I mean, in Peru or Ecuador or Costa Rica, any place I've been, this was the best food I had. It was gourmet food.
What is that in the middle?
It's chicken, but it isn't so much what it is. I mean, you look and say, well, that's just old broccoli, and that's it. It's the way they fix it. Did you guys have the good food experience like we did?
I got food poisoning, but
Oh
I do every, that's the nicest places. I only do it
no!
the
Okay, well, forget the food then.
Yeah, okay, good.
But anyway,
we only go
it was, you know, I
it
hate
tasted good,
cabbage.
but it tasted
I hate it with a passion. I ate every bit of that.
good.
The way they fixed that cabbage, I don't know what they did with it, but it was so delicious, I ate all of it and wanted more. And I hate cabbage.
On the upper right, is that a raw eggplant?
No.
No, this tomato, then they've got a little bit of a flour there from a, what is it called,
I don't know, but
What's
looks
that
like a
red
raw
tropical
eggplant
plant?
under there.
yeah, ginger. It's a little piece of ginger.
What is that if it isn't a raw eggplant?
What's underneath that?
Oh, that could be, yeah.
You can't eat
I ate it, whatever it was, I ate it, it was good.
It's a
Must have been.
Wait, I ate everything on there except the ginger. I didn't eat the ginger.
It's not raw eggplant.
Here we are at,
It's vegetable.
and what we're going to talk about, butterflies tonight? We'll get to it. Anyway, Rodrigo was our guide, and he was excellent. We made it clear to him when we first came in, it says, we have an agenda. Because, see, these guys come, and most of these, see, the people all behind us were all from Europe. They're all Europeans. The Germans, there was 2 Dutch people, I think the others were all from Germany. And they don't know what to do. They come,
They drink and smoke.
please, yeah, I know they like to drink, but they had to be shown around. You know, take me here, take me there, do all this. We had an agenda. We knew what we wanted to do. So we told Rodrigo, says, okay, you're our assigned guide, but we don't need you really. I says, we need you the first day because we need you to show us the trails. We didn't want to get lost. And you can get lost in the jungle, believe me. And so he showed us the trails, and then he pretty well let us go, but of course Shirley nagged on to him right away. Let's go birding. So he spent most of the time with Shirley birding, while Richard and I were in the jungle working with butterflies. Okay, now we're into the butterflies. But the problem is, I had to go all the way back to the river. I knew I wanted to get some good photos of swallowtails. Well, there are swallowtails in the jungle, but they're mostly, well, they're different species than you have here. The kite swallowtails like to be on the river, real close to the river. This is a kite swallowtail here, yeah, the Clarcoleus kite. There are many species of kite swallowtail. I mean, this is just one of many that we saw, and I can't show you all the pictures. But anyway, this one, and you notice it not only on the mud, but it's on bird droppings. And this is very common. Every time we see bird droppings in an open space, there's probably going to be a butterfly there. But boy, they like that salt in that bird dropping. And but I had to go all the way back to the river again. So I had to go back through the lake again, down the, just reverse of showing you how to get there. And I had to walk 2 miles. That's how dedicated I am to butterflies. But I had to spend part of one day on the river because I wanted to get some. I wouldn't have gotten this otherwise. That only photo, you would not get this in the jungle. You would not see a kite swallowtail in the jungle. These were along the rivers. They're always along the rivers. So this one too. This is the elegant kite swallowtail too. And you had to get down where the mud was in order to see these. Now, the Lysander cattleheart. The cattlehearts are forest. And so you can see those in the jungle. And so oh, by the way, how I'm doing this with the butterflies tonight, so you understand. These are not butterflies in any particular lodge. What I did is I decided to group them. So I'm showing you swallowtails first, and then we're going to go to the whites, and then we're going to go to the nymphalis, and on and on and on. Okay, we're going to go kind of in that order. So these were in all lodges. In fact, I would say 75% of my photos were at Cabanas, Alaniawe, because that was by far the best place I've ever butterflied in my life, and probably never will find a better place than that. It was just absolutely fantastic. But there were butterflies in these other lodges, and we did get a lot of pictures. Aeneas cattleheart, the Androgeus swallowtail. When we first arrived at Sasha Lodge, as a matter of fact, there was one of these flying around a bush, and I was trying, would you please light so I can get a picture? And finally I found one that was just on a branch. It was early in the morning, and it was sitting there, and it hadn't been ready to fly yet today. But the other one was going, buzzing around. I said, come on, wait. They all wanted to get going, you know. Come on, come on. I said, wait, he'll land, he'll land. And never did land. So, but anyway, that's a beautiful swallowtail right there. And that's papilio, so that's a true swallowtail. The others were kite swallowtails. And Manenia swallowtail, this was also down on the sand. See, most of the good swallowtail pictures I got were down Butterfly's Muddy. And the Stelis swallowtail, I saw several of these down by the mud, you know. And these are upstream. And this one was a Cabana salmon, by the way. Now, this was on the boardwalk. We walked along the boardwalk, and sure enough, we saw a bird dropping on the boardwalk. And this butterfly was just sitting there, and I could get right up to it. I didn't even need my telephoto with this. I put my macro on and got right up to it. I could have actually touched it. It was so engrossed in getting that salt that, I mean, I got my camera right up next to it, you know. And Shirley got up next to it. Richard got up next to it. Still stayed there. But this was black bannequite, which is kind of, it's actually prettier on the ventral surface than it is on the dorsal surface. And then this was also muddy. And this is where you find all the whites. The whites are muddying too, see. So it was real important for me to get down to the river to do some work there. I wasn't going to do everything in the jungle because you get a totally different perspective. And look at all the different species here. The Florida white, I don't know if you can tell which one's the Florida white.
Probably not one of the yellow ones.
Florida white's here and here. Cetera white is here, which is basically kind of a yellow, pale yellow in the dorsal surface. Here's the trite. The trite always has that big stripe up. And I don't know why these guys weren't social, but those are the orange bark sulfurs there.
Did the Florida whites live in Florida?
Yes, the Florida white extends all the way from the East Coast all the way down through the tropics. And I was just down in Mexico a week ago, and orange barred sulfurs were everywhere. So a lot of these butterflies are actually neotropical all the way down. They're not always just indigenous just to this Ecuadorian region. There are some that I only saw in Ecuador, but there's a lot of butterflies that are just absolutely tropical. In fact, every one of these whites flies to Mexico, too. In fact, in Puerto Vallarta, where it was. They all fly there. And here's a trite up close. I thought this was a good picture. He was sitting there, and he was... And by the way, what they were on actually was some seaweed from the lake that had been dry, and they were getting the minerals, you know, salts and everything off the rotting seaweed. That's what you saw in the last one. I'll just go real quickly back to that so you can see that. See that dark stuff? That's actually seaweed. So, and
That's forward and that's a red one.
oh, thank you. This is forward here.
Yeah, and then the top is the lesion.
Okay, well that'll be much better. Thank you. I'm gonna have to get one of these. And the apricot sulfur was right at the butterfly farm. If you remember, at the front of the butterfly farm, they had a spigot there, and they were all there cleaning. All the guys had their boots on and everything, and they were doing their work. Well, this butterfly was sitting right on the bucket. I said, well, I better get this, because this is one I didn't see down on the river. This is the apricot sulfur. So we got another sulfur. Oh, that's much nicer. Ooh, this is great. Here's the orange barred sulfurs. They're beautiful. This is the male. And they're just a gorgeous, gorgeous butterfly. Okay, I showed you a bug. I was going to show you a lot more, but we took so many pictures of just insects. We could have done 3 or 4 programs just on insects, not even touching a butterfly. And Shirley was taking every bug in sight. She must have had 300 photos of just insects. Well, I was spending most of my time with butterflies, but if I ran across an interesting bug, I got a picture of it, and this is one. They're just so colorful. I mean, everything is colorful. Now,
What is that called?
well, it's an ambush bug. We have them here too, but not this species, of course. This, and it's a true bug, So I can call it a bug. It really is a bug.
Did you remove the...
It's not a beetle. It's a true bug.
Did you remove the right rear leg for a souvenir?
No. Oh yeah, I noticed there is a leg off of it. You caught that. I didn't even catch that when I took it. Oh, this guy. Now this was right by the butterfly house where you guys were. There's an open area by the butterfly house. This tegu did not want me around him at all. I had a terrible time getting a picture of him because he kept moving. Oh, it is 3 feet long. Oh, these are big. This isn't a little lizard. These are huge.
I'm making this up. I have no idea how big it was.
Yeah, but they're about 3 feet long. Yeah. And they love to come out and sit in the sun. But when you come up to them, they would just go like crazy, just like snakes, you know. People say, are you afraid of snakes? Are you kidding? You can't even get close to a snake down there. As soon as the snake even gets the idea you're even there, they're off into the jungle. You know, I saw 3 snakes the whole time I was there. And I heard them. I could hear them, you know, moving off into the jungle, but I didn't see them. The same with these guys. It was so different. I was so proud of myself getting this photo. I said, I finally got a good picture of one. But they were just, they're huge.
Do they eat them?
Pardon?
Do they eat
I don't know. You know, I never asked Rodrigo if they actually eat them, if the indigenous people eat them. I think they would, because in Nigeria, this is like the monitor lizards in Africa, and they do eat them there. Yeah, they do eat the monitor lizards, so they probably could have. Oh, here's the 3 in Partisan Crime. Okay, and you can see how when we dress, we don't go out, we're not ready to go to a restaurant here. We're ready to go into the jungle. Okay, we wore boots for good reason because of the fact that a lot of the jungle trails were wet. You know, we didn't have a lot of rain when we were there. Actually, Cabana Salinyawe had one rainy day that we kind of got rained out, but the rest of the time it was beautiful weather. But it was still wet. It was still wet, and so it was really nice to. We look how muddy the boots are, see, just from walking around.
Hardly muddy.
What's that?
They're hardly muddy.
Yeah,
You're not really getting into the mud there.
Yeah. Yeah, now this is the typical boats that we took between lodges. And now we're leaving. We're leaving La Selva and we're heading to Sasha Lodge, okay? And so you can see us going up the river. And I tell you, I hand it to these guys. There were so many bars in that river, so many shallow areas. These guys were going all over the place, weaving. We tried to find the channels, and they knew exactly where to go. They could have grounded the boats real easily because there were a lot of, you know, just really shallow areas. And see, we're in the dry season here. You see, if we were here in May, I mean, no problem. In fact, we probably would hardly make it upstream because of the current. But we were in the dry season, which was good for us, but hard for the guys running the boats. Sasha Lodge. Now, Heidi, you remember this. I welcome you in all these different languages. And Sasha Lodge is a little shorter walk, but you also go to a boat. And then the boat, they take you to the lake, once again, another lake lodge, and which has had a nice prawn in there too. And we get, and this is kind of where they had the outdoor barbecue. Did you have a barbecue when you were there? Yeah, we had the outdoor barbecue.
One
there.
guy got bitten by a piranha down that float.
Oh, really? Oh, gosh. Yeah. You know that the Europeans were swimming in there? I said, I'm not going in. I felt like it, but I'm not going in there. Not if there's prawn in there. But I went fishing for piranha.
Yeah,
Rodrigo, one afternoon, he had his fishing rod there. I said, why'd you bring your fishing rod? I said, I thought someone might want to go fishing. I do. I said, let's go after piranha. He said, sure, let's go out. They took great big chunks of roast beef. I mean, it was prime beef, and he took a chunk of that. But you know what? You know how you catch piranha? I don't know if anybody fished for piranha before.
They're only like this size.
They're about this big, but they bite and chew so fast that if you put your line down and wait for a bite, you pull up, bare hook. I did that about 6 times. I said, this isn't going to work. So what I had to do is put meat down and jerk. I had to get them the instant they were on there to catch them. And I caught 10 of them. And in fact, we brought them up there and we served them for dinner that night. People could eat them because everyone wanted to sample them. Even the Europeans, they said, we want to sample them. But the Europeans were swimming in there.
How were they? To eat?
Well, they taste kind of like
Roast beef.
like cod. They're white meat, but there's not much meat there. By the time you cut the head off and the tail off, and the bones in there, you don't get much to eat. So that's why it's nice to have 10, because by the time of course we shared them with everybody there.
The piranha?
What's that?
The piranha that is this you're talking about eating piranha?
Oh yeah, we ate the piranha. Yeah.
I remember they had tiny bones.
Yeah, but
Tiny bone. Well, I was in Venezuela, red-bellied piranha. You might have a completely different piranha species. I don't know.
yeah, it could be.
Here.
Yeah, I didn't know what we were catching. But boy, those teeth, I didn't
And we would go swimming, and then we'd take our little meat and throw it in the water and catch piranha. And I never figured out whether there was like any danger in us having gone swimming. But since I, didn't get bitten, and nobody that I knew
No.
of ever got bitten.
In fact, the people in the lodge encouraged us to go swimming. I says, no, not me.
That was.
Count me out.
one program the other night on this guy that's fishing all over the world, and he jumped in the lake of piranhas. He said the only way you get bit is if you're bleeding.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
That's right.
see, the blood attracts.
That's it. Other than that, they're not going to bother.
But how are you sure that you didn't get some kind of
Yeah.
scratch?
Yeah, you jumped in, you got scratched on the
Okay.
rock down there. and you're swimming
You can go
around.
ahead and enjoy it.
I just follow the next person who goes
Yeah.
swimming. So when my friend went swimming, I joined him.
But I had
if
respect
I
for
had to choose to do it, knowing all the piranhas in
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
I might not have like done it on my
No.
own initiative.
The way they took that beef, that roast beef, and devoured it, I said, I don't want them on my flesh.
Just cut the skin off of your, see if it'll bite you, but leave it exposed and then they'll.
Pictures.
And
Did you go on the night,
Oh, okay.
the night
Sorry.
where they came and haul out around the edge of the lake?
What's that?
There's caiman in this place.
Yes, but we didn't see any. Rodrigo took us around. He took me around because I wanted to see the howlers up close. I never did get a picture of the howler. We heard them and we saw them way in the distance. Even with my telephoto lens, I couldn't get any decent pictures. They're all out of focus. So I'm not showing them tonight. But we did go to see them, and we were looking for caimans. And he said they're all over this place. But we didn't see any. And also anacondas. I said, oh, Rodrigo, show me an anaconda. He said a lot of times they're just hanging by on branches right close to the
Boa,
lake.
what they call jungle boas. They-
Yeah.
They hang down.
Yeah, but these were actually anacondas, and they're huge. But he said we didn't see any of those. I did see the howlers, but I couldn't get any good pictures of them. Okay, anyway, this is the main lodge now, Sasha. And this, of course, the eating place, the bar, da-da-da-da-da-da. This is where everybody kind of hangs out. But now look at the rooms here now. There's a little step upward from La Silva. This is my room.
I like that.
And it's all screened. Notice, no mosquito netting. It's all screened, beautiful, nice. The fan really worked good too. And guess what? We had power. It's all generator power. We had power 24 hours a day.
The
Which
bigger
is not-
tarantulas can climb in bed with you.
Yeah. Anyway, this was really a luxury. After being at the other lodge, this was really a luxury. So I said, that's why I know why Heidi went here. She wanted a 5-star lodge. She got it. She got it. Here's, look at the shower. I mean, you go in there, I says, whoa. I says, I'm at the Hilton here. And this is way in the jungle, so it's just amazing. Now, this was about 50 miles upriver from La Selva, on the right side of the river now this time. So we're on the, so they're fairly close together. But okay, and this is called Sasha Lodge. Nice. Now, oh, I got to tell you about this. This was funny. This is Squirrel Monkey. I heard this ruckus. I was in the room, and I heard this ruckus outside. There's just all this noise, and like a windstorm. And what it was a troop of these things. There must have been 50 of them. And they were just going from tree to tree and rattling all the branches and everything. And I got outside and missed most of them because they'd already passed over. But this guy was just sitting on a branch looking at me. I said, okay, I'll get a good picture of you. So I got this one. But the monkeys didn't hang around very much. So they were... Now, butterflies here. Now, this is my favorite group, of course, the hair streaks. You all know that. I die for hair streaks. This is one of the most beautiful, the Arcus hair streaks are the most beautiful tropical hair streaks there are. We saw quite a few of them. And this is really funny because we were photographing this butterfly. And it was just sitting so still, like it was dead. And Shirley went up and touched it, and it fell over. That must be a response for protection. Like he's dead. And it laid there. It just laid on its side. I thought, huh? But we knew it was alive.
How big was that one?
What's that?
How big was that one?
How big?
Yeah.
Oh, it's probably, yeah, I'll show you.
Size, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Why
This is a pretty good size hair streak. These aren't the little tiny things that we see here.
Why wouldn't flying work better to get away from their predator?
We'd have to ask him.
I don't know. But it flopped over and it stayed there for quite a while. So, here's another one, Selena hair streak. The hair streaks there are so gorgeous. I just love the hair streaks. And this is such a gorgeous, it's of course very blue on top. Hair streaks rarely show their dorsal surface. So you don't get a chance, but they're every bit as gorgeous on the dorsal surface there on the ventral. This I wanted to call the humpback stripe streak, but that's not what they call it, the Giberosa. But can you see the hump on the front of it? Isn't that kind of a cool hair streak? Yeah, hump on its wing. And this is the tiger hair streak. I thought that's a pretty good name. Doesn't that look like a full eye? Huh? That's kind of a neat name. I like common names that are descriptive. I like common names that mean something, rather than some guy's name. You know, like George's hair streak. Yeah? Okay. I like this one. Tiger eye hair streak. This means something to me. Now this hair streak, this is another one that flies all the way up into, in fact, I just got a good photo of that in Mismoya, Mexico, just 10 days ago. It was right there. You and the people who've been to Mexico, you saw it here too. And they call it the sky blue hair streak in Mexico. But you get down here, it's the same species, but they give it a different name. Maris's hair streak. So that's the trouble with common names. You go from one country to another and they change all the names on you. The separata stripe streak, these were hanging around the butterfly lodge, their butterfly house. And I took this one at LaSalle. And oh, by the way, Sasha had a butterfly house too. But Cabanas, Alan Elway did not. Lidus hair streak. Oh, this is on the screen inside. Oh, we did this every day. This routinely, we patrolled the screens inside the lodge. Because all the doors, of course, were open all the time. Windows were open, everything. And butterflies would fly in there like crazy. And they would sit across the screen. So we got a lot of really good photos. I know, it's kind of cheating, isn't it?
No.
Did you see them when you're on the screens too? They're all over the screens, aren't they? And also other kinds of bugs too. It's kind of fun.
A lot of moths.
Yeah, we saw
And
moths.
dragonflies.
Yeah. But anyway, this was a beautiful hair streak that was in there. In fact, I didn't see one of these out in the jungle, so I'm glad I got this photo. The Somas hair streak. Look at the chain of red spots. It's kind of cool. And this is the Stromia hair streak. This is more like our brown hair streaks, you know, that we have. And this is one of the a set of brown. I tried to kind of give you a whole array of different kinds of hair streaks to look at, because I photographed many. I must have photographed 150 species. So this is just some. These are just some.
Hair streaks?
Yeah, just hair streaks alone. Well, of course, I love hair streaks. I was looking for them all the time. If Shirley saw a hair streak, there's a hair streak over here. Okay, and I'd go over and get a picture of it, you know, because she knew I was after hair streaks mostly. I really like them.
Is that a typo, or is there no vowel between the T and the M?
No, I said molus. It's called the molus. Yeah, molus is the genus. It's strange, isn't it? No, I know that's still there. The red spotted hair streak, well named. Yeah, I like common names like this. Red spotted hair streak, good. I don't like that one. Asa hair streak, doesn't mean anything to me. But anyway, that's what the saying is. Oh, I got to tell you about the snake. Shirley wanted to go birding, and this was Sasha Lodge. And I asked Shirley, I said, well, where are you guys going? She said, well, we're going to go over to the island. I said, oh, the island, okay. That's across the river. And I said, you mind if I hang out? I said, I'm not going to go birding, but I want to go butterflying. Can I go? And I'll just butterfly on my own. So I did. And they took us to this indigenous people's lodge. And they have from all over the river area, they 3 times a year, they have a bazaar there. I mean, they actually sell things, and you know, they share things and whatever. And they had these beautiful big lodges. I took pictures of it. I just didn't bring one tonight. But they had these really nice lodges there. But it was a whole open area. And I says, ooh, this would be great for butterflies. So I hung around there while they went up and looked for some birds. And so I spent my time there. And there was a big pit with water in it. And I walk over and I say, whoop, not too close. But this is a false course snake. It's not poisonous. So when Rodrigo came back with Shirley, I said, come here, I want to show you the snake I discovered. And they went over there and said, oh, he said, that's not poisonous. So he went, grabbed it, took it out, put it in the jungle.
Was it just in there to show people?
No, it had fallen in. It had just crawled in because it was a big pit. It was about, 3 or 4 feet deep, you know, and water in the bottom. So the snake was probably coming along, boom, right in. And so it was swimming around in there, and so he got it out in the jungle. But no, it wasn't poisonous. Well, obviously it wasn't poisonous. He picked it right up and took it in the jungle.
Just give you a time check, it's about 40 minutes.
Oh, okay, we'll get moving here. Here's the poison dart frogs were everywhere, and this one has, you can see, I brought this picture because you can see the eggs on the back of it. See, you see the eggs right there? And we saw 3 different species of poison dart frogs here. This shows you kind of what the jungle was like. This right here was the canopy where the birders go up. Early in the morning, they get up on top, and then they get their good sightings of birds. So this was one of the canopies that was built. That's what you see, the girders. But this is typical of what the jungle looks like all over. It's just gorgeous. Love it. And this has to be one of the most beautiful butterflies that exists. And now we're getting into the meadowlarks. And this is the Sirota. The Sirotas, I think, is a group, are just absolutely spectacular. Look at their fuzzy legs. Aren't they something? The Sirotas are just gorgeous. And Martina meadowlark, you can see why they're called metal marks, because of the flakes. All their scales look metallic. You see, metal-like, so metal marks. So it's really good. And this one, Ivy, did you see this around Sasha Lodge? Oh, you know those great big water plants that have those great big leaves? That's the food plant of this thing. And Richard told me that. It says, hey, look for this for the Capito metal mark, because I know how we saw it in Peru. We saw it in the guy's collection at the museum, and I saw those, and I said, God, they're right here at Sasha? He says, yeah, they're at Sasha. So I went down and spent about an hour walking down around the lake, and sure enough, I found it. Isn't that gorgeous, metal mark? Look at those spots on that thing.
How big is it?
Oh, it's about the size of a cabbage plant. Give you an idea. This one, I couldn't identify. I've used every book, I've used every source I could possibly find. I don't know the name of it. It's an eye mark, I know that, so that's a group of metal marks. But I have no clue what it is. I could not find it in any books.
It's the fall metal mark.
Crocuus metal mark. It's got the nice red lines on it. Beautiful. This is this shows you sexual dimorphism. That's why I'd use this particular picture. The females are brown. The males are almost black. They're kind of purplish, dark purplish black. And Mises metal mark. Melbus metal mark. This is also real. Oh, this one, the reason the picture is kind of fuzzy is I had to get like this to take it because he was under a leaf. So I had to get, he's hanging on the bottom of the leaf. I had to get like that. Metal marks have a tendency to do that. You probably saw that. They fly and then they get under leaves. And so that's how I had to get that picture. Sword tails, so we saw quite a few of those. This one is quite a common one, but the next one I couldn't identify. It's not in any of the books I had. So it's a gorgeous thing with the red on it. You'd think it would be real easy to identify because it's so spectacular, but no, they're not in any of the books that I had. Mineria metal mark. Look at this one. This should be called the tiger metal mark. I would call it the tiger. I would have fun if they just gave me the job of common names, because I would have so much fun with it. I could be creative. But what is this? Parthenus. What's that mean? I don't know. Maybe it means something. Maybe it's a Spanish word. It means something. I don't know. Prima metal mark. Look how gorgeous that is. I mean, you can't see the iridescence of that blue. I mean, it's just, when the sun hits it just right, it's just absolutely gorgeous. And another swordtail, Tia swordtail, he was right on the lawn, and I was right over, but he'd move, and I'd go like this, and he'd move again, and I'd be like this. Come on, stop! Finally got a picture of him. And this was another screen butterfly. This group of butterflies, these metal marks, they come in different species, and some of them are totally brown, some of them are totally blue, and this one is brown and red. There's about 5 different species just in this area. And I photographed, I think, 4 of the 5. This one couldn't identify it. It's a beautiful eye mark. The ones that were in the book all had really narrow amounts of white. Look at this thing. It's got a huge amount of white on it. No, unidentified. I know it's an eye mark. Till that, that's all. Look at this one. Now here's another common name. It's fantastic. Look at this, Starry Night. Isn't that super? Doesn't that look like you're looking up at the sky and see all the stars? I think it's just absolutely wonderful. This is a great common name. I love that one. Starry Night metal mark. And the nymphidiums, there was a whole bunch of species of this. This is just one of many. Varying amounts of orange, varying amounts of white, and There's all kinds of patterns. And this is just one of many of those. Lysippus metal mark. Okay, now we're heading to Coca, and then we're going to go to Cabanas Alanyai, which was by far the very best of the 3 places, as far as butterflies go. And this is kind of a typical dwelling. I had to get a picture of that, and so you can see this is how the indigenous people live along the river. Some of them have tin, some of them have thatch roofs, but it's all open. Everything's open. They don't have any. They don't even have any rooms in it. It's all open. The ones I've seen were all open. No rooms. So everybody just stays together in one flat area. Kind of interesting. This is their schoolhouse. There's no school today. I found out that they don't usually go to school on Mondays. So they have Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and 3 days off. And I believe this was a Monday. So no one's there. That's a school. Now, as we go up to Coca, I wanted to get this, because this is Samaco. This is the famous mountain. It's kind of like looking at Seattle and Mount Rainier. This is, Samaco is the mountain behind Coca. And you can see it's a volcanic mountain. There's so many volcanoes in Ecuador, you know. Oh, and this was our bus ride to Tena. It took 5 hours. But one of the reasons is the bus driver was going to stop by this store. I thought, what's going on here? He was hungry. So the bus driver gets out, and he got some of that stuff there. I don't know exactly what it is. Maybe you people know if you've ever raised pigs. But that stuff there, and he was chewing on it the rest of the bus ride. I don't know whether it's intestines or what, but he was chewing on it.
Doesn't look like it.
And he stopped and got a Coke one time, and he stopped. I mean, he was hungry. Finally, we had to tell him, when are we going to go have a bathroom stop? Oh, you need to go to the bathroom. It's a 5-hour trip. I said, we got it. So he finally took us to a place where there's a bathroom. They do things differently in Ecuador. But anyway, this trip was something else. We had so many stops that it's no wonder it took 5 hours to get from one place to another. Now you can see why they have to build on stilts. Because in the rainy season, guess what? There'd probably be water under there, you know. So a lot of the homes were on stilts because of the wet season. Of course, we're in the dry season, so no problem. Cabana Salado, this was my favorite place. I'll go back there in a heartbeat. If I go back to Ecuador, this is on my list, number 1. 1.5 kilometers, there were more butterflies in that 1.5 kilometer walk in there than I've ever seen any place in the world. I mean, there must have been, I think, if you really worked hard at it, you'd get like 500 species in this one butterfly.
Is
Just
that from the main road to where the cabanas were? That
yeah,
entrance
this is the main road, this is the main sign, and then you walk down a dirt road, and then there's jungle on the side.
Right.
And the morphos, this is where I show you the morphos. Oh God, the morphos were just... How many of you ever seen the blue morpho?
There's a lot of
Gorgeous
types
morpho.
of morphos.
The trouble is getting pictures of morphos, because morphos like to fly. And you have to get them early in the morning. It's very difficult, because if they're busy, and you know, during the day when it's warm, they're just flying, and you can't get pictures of them. This is called the Butterfly Lodge, and they have the beautiful morpho on there. Cabana Salado, I just love this place. This is the lodge, and now it's rustic again. We go back to rustic again. Richard Shirley on one side, I was on the other side. It's very similar to La Selva. They had a fan, and they would shut off power, and they ran, you know, the generators. But we talked them into leaving the power on. We're the only ones there. They had a huge group there before we came. They had a big group coming. In fact, they had a specialist on metalworks, believe it or not. I would have loved to have met him. A specialist. He was coming in with a group after us. But when we were there 4 days, we were the only ones there. We had the whole place to ourselves. But anyway, we talked them into leaving the power on so we could leave the light on at night. Oh, what treasures did we find in the morning? I mean, from all kinds of insects. Shirley went crazy. She must have taken 100 pictures just every morning around looking at all the bugs. She took a picture of everything she could see. And this is where we saw some of our beautiful owl butterflies. But there, of course, I focused on the butterflies. She focused on everything. Some of the morphos. This is the morpho they raise in the butterfly houses. This is the Helmer morpho. And they're very, very, very common in there. And this is they raise commercially. Then there's also the Kelly's morpho, a different species, which is not as common. But this was there too. And the Marcus morpho is the big one you saw going down the road all the time. This great big huge blue thing flying down the road. This was this guy right here, Marcus. He's just a gorgeous thing. That's a big butterfly. That's 5 inches across. You know, it's a really big butterfly. And then there's also brown morphos. People think, oh, morphos are only blue, aren't they? This is the hidden. Now it has blue spots on it. So it has blue, but this is the Gila brown morpho, and then this is the common brown morpho. Here's what, now this was taken underneath that building that I showed you about in the morning. This guy was just sitting there from the night. He came in during the evening when the light was on, and was sitting right there, so really nice, good picture of that. The placid giant owl, these are owls, a few pictures of owls, there were many species of owls there. But the most fun was this, and boy, Richard had a great eye. He was walking along, he says, oh, look at here's a pupa. I said, what? He says, yeah, look right down here. I says, how did you ever see that, Richard? I don't know. I was just looking there and I saw a pupa. Well, that's fantastic. But I looked at it and said, well, look at here. We can see the patterns of the wing. I said, this thing's going to hatch. I says, so I put a stick by it. And I said, when we patrol up and down this road, let's come back periodically and take a look. Guess what? Oops.
Oh, really?
He came out and his wings were just, there was a little bit of a breeze, so his wings were just going like that. You know, just flopping, you know. And then take a look at it. Wow. So I just kept going back and getting pictures of him, and there he is. Isn't that beautiful? That's a Serranus owl. That was a beautiful owl.
How long a time?
What's that?
How long a time?
Oh, it was about an hour.
From the first time to the...
Yeah, from the first time that I just kept going back. Every time I went, I looked at it and see where it was, see the progress. He stayed floppy for quite a while. Most of the time he was floppy, but then the last time he was ready to go, ready to take off. There's two beauties. This is Procella beauty, which isn't as pretty as the next one. This is the Prola beauty. It's that beautiful red ventral surface. Oh, getting close. Okay. Yeah, this is some 88s. I'll show you some of the beautiful 88s. Another just favorite butterfly of mine. It's not a hair streak, but it'll do. And the Hesperus 88. Hesperus 88, a little bit open. The red rim. Oh, these things are so gorgeous. I love the combination of red and black. I just love that combination. That's great. And the red rim. There were quite a few of them. But these were mostly at the Silva, by the way. That's where we saw the red rim. A cracker. I finally figured out why they're always upside down. If you've ever seen crackers, they always land upside down. That's because they can see better. It makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, if somebody's going to come, they're looking right at you. If they're turned the other way, they're looking up in the air. So it makes sense that they'd be upside down. But all the crackers, when they land on something, whoop, they're always upside down. And this is the variable cracker. This was the red cracker that was sitting on our railing at Sasha. And then banners, some of the most beautiful banners. And then this was the most beautiful of the purple wings. Purple wings aren't always that elegant, but this one is the real pretty one, so I thought I'd bring that one out. But we saw quite a few purple wings, and they like to be in the mud. They like to be on the ground. Now this thing is a big butterfly. You don't see the perspective here. The Orion is the biggest infallid there. It's even bigger than a monarch. I mean, the wingspan of these things are like this. They're a huge butterfly. They're really hard to photograph. Those things are just fly like crazy. I finally got him down on the mud, and I got a picture of it. This astro, I didn't even find it. Rodrigo did. He was out there, and he says, here's a butterfly I haven't seen yet. And he brought it over to me. I said, yeah. He had it in the net. He had it in the net. And so we let it out on the leaf. It didn't fly. He says, oh, I better get a picture of this thing before it flies off. And we got Mark's astro. It's the only astro I saw the whole time. And the guide got it. Hewisson's olive wing. The olive wings are gorgeous. Once again, just the brilliance of their stripes on them. The scarlet peacock. This is related to the banded peacock in Mexico. That's very common, very common butterfly in Mexico. But you notice the red here is very thick on this one. Much thicker than what you see in Mexico. The malachite, it flies all the way from Florida all the way down the whole gamut. It's totally neotropic. The malachite is found, it's a very common butterfly in the neotropics. Also this one too, many banded daggerwing in the mud, as you can see. And another daggerwing. This one is not found in Mexico, but it is found in South America, brown daggerwing. And this one is found all the way from Mexico, all the way down as well, the ruddy daggerwing. Oh, these things drove me crazy. The clear wings, I took so many photos of clear wings, and I would say 50% of them I had no clue what they were, and there's no way to identify them. The books don't have them. But this is the Tim the clear wing. This clear wing, don't even know. I tried, I worked hours on these things trying to identify these. No identification of that one, no identification of that one. And there was many more. I mean, I took lots of clearwing pictures. I could do this whole presentation on clearwings. There were so many different species. Pointer sister, I couldn't figure out at first. I thought, is this a joke? You know, there is a group, a rock group called the Pointer Sisters. I said, this is a joke. Then finally I figured it out. See the little red point there at the top? That's what they call it, the pointer sister. This right here. I thought it was a joke, but, you know, naming it after a rock group. Or the gals. Smooth-banded sister, another one. Of course, remember, we have a sister that sometimes flies in our area, the California sister, but it's rare. Emperors, there's a couple emperors to show you here. The silver and the other one, I think that. Tiger wings, this also flies in Mexico. Some of the long wings, the heliclones, quite a few species of those. Got this one, the ray long wing, and the Juno, which is also a long wing. Two-spotted Propona. Then, down on the river, this was at Cabanas, Illinois. There was an indigenous village right next to it, and there was an island, and they were harvesting manioc root, and also plantain. And these were a couple of the canoes they used in the water. Look at those. They look like Northwest Indian canoes, don't they? They actually dug them out of trees. They made these. These natives made these. So I had to get a picture of that. And then here's a couple of the indigenous people that live there. To marry her. Because I was taking pictures of them. They liked me, you know. They thought it was great. See the plantain and manioc there? And they were harvesting. They harvested, bring it up there, and then a truck comes down this dirt road, and then they get the set. Wax-tailed plant hopper, this is a really interesting bug. When it flies, that white stuff just flies out. I don't know, have you guys ever seen any there? Oh, they're really cool to watch fly. How am I doing? Am I over already?
Yeah, we should wrap it up.
Okay, real quick, I'll run through these really fast so you see them. Tiger wings, the tiger wings I went crazy with these two. Hard to identify them. They gave me all kinds of fits. I had a terrible time with the tiger wings. So you can see, no name, no name. Look at that thing, it looks like the ghost. I would call it the ghost tiger wing or something. I'm trying to make something out of that face, if I gave it a name.
Well, we should take a vote. We want you to go. Keep going.
What's that?
We want you to keep going.
You do?
Some of us do.
Okay, well, if you have to leave, I'll just put it this way. It won't bother me if you just get up and go. If you want to go, just go. Well, we have to go pretty fast. I'll run through it fast. More tiger wings. And now the Pirellas. I love the Pirellas. Now these are the satyrs. This is in the satyr group. Okay, you notice how ugly our satyrs are here. They're all brown. You know how ugly they are. Look at them in the tropics. This is one they call the Lena Pirella. I think it's just a gorgeous thing. And this one is the Lamia Pirella. It's not quite as pretty as the last one. But look at this one. Pink tip satyr. Yeah, and these were all in the forest. These are only in the forest, in the jungle. They were right along the jungle, and you had to kind of, you know.
Where did you see these? Which of the places?
All of them. Yeah, these were found everywhere. These are fairly common, actually, in trails, in jungle trails.
Is that basically almost like clearwing though, too?
Yeah, no, but they're a satyr. They're actually,
But they are
yeah, they are clear. There's a lot of, you know, there's very little scaling on them. You're right, but it's, but these are, yeah, these are all satyrs here. Then here a satyr. Now here's a satyr too, and it's not brown like ours. This one, beautiful blue. Here's the dorsal surface of it. Gorgeous. Here's the satyr was on the screen.
Yeah.
The notorious screen butterfly. Two-banded satyr with the white stripe. This always was the first butterfly out in the morning. Always. We got up, and there's nothing flying except for this thing. I mean, it'd fly at 8 o'clock in the morning. It was up flying. Oh, and here's a few skippers. I'm going to run through these real fast. This is not my department. This is Shirley, so I'll go really fast through these. But I got some of the most gorgeous skippers just to remind you of what you saw last year. Isn't this a gorgeous thing? Look at this thing. Pygmalion. You know, the fire tips. Aren't these gorgeous? Now, notice they're all in the wads.
Yeah.
How many were here, how many, I should say, weren't here when Richard gave his? You weren't. Okay, let me explain this. What Richard did during his day was he took toilet paper and a spray bottle of salt water, and he would put the toilet paper on leaves all along the trails.
Yeah.
They love the salt. And for one reason or another, the skippers were really basically the butterfly would come. Every once in a while we'd see a true butterfly on it, but mostly skippers, and they loved it. Now, it mimics a bird dropping. You see? So it's the same thing. And Richard would just patrol, all he had to do was patrol his toilet paper. And that's all he did the whole time we were there. He was patrolling toilet paper. I shouldn't say that. He calls them spitwads. We'll use his word. He called them spitwads. He patrolled his spitwads and took pictures, you see. And I'd take as many as I could. If I ran across, whoa, there's a nice skipper on that. And I would help him out. And I got a lot of pictures for him too. But look at these gorgeous things. There's, the skippers are really pretty in the tropics.
So what did he use for salt on his,
Regular salt. He got it from the kitchen. He went in there and asked him, can I have some salt? Yeah. And he got his squeeze bottle and he put salt water in it. They look at him. What are you putting in a bottle of salt water? He said, oh, this is for... And then, of course, it drove all the guys wild because they were going down the trail taking all these tourist steps. And they're seeing all these spitwads along the trail. And they would come back and say, what's going on? There's all kinds of toilet paper on the leaves. And then they had to explain to him, well, that was Richard's project. It's not fair to talk about Richard or something. But we can all laugh. Laugh with him.
It's okay.
Is it okay?
I'm
Okay.
excited, it's okay.
A couple more skippers. I mean, they're just, it goes on and on. You know, the skippers are really the largest group of butterflies. 40% of all tropical butterflies are skippers. So you can see why Richard spends time on it. That's a lot of butterflies. And we photographed many, many. Jeweled skipper, variable blue skipper, frosted. Ghost skipper. See the big wad there, the toilet paper? He got carried away sometimes. He had a great, the whole leaf was covered by it. And bird droppings aren't that big. They work. They come down anyway. But we had trouble with the ants. The ants sometimes would devour all of it. They would come and they would actually eat. They would take away the toilet paper. So they would actually take it away. It's amazing. The ants were something else. Blue skipper, spike banded. Oh, and I had to show you a tarantula. This was sitting on the ceiling, and I was too high for me to get, but I wanted to grab it and
How
play with
big
it.
was it?
Huh?
How big? Was that at Lisbon?
What? No, this was Cabana San
Oh.
where everything else was. I mean, if I go back to Ecuador, that's the first place I head for. It's Cabanas.
did you pick it up?
Huh? No, I said I couldn't. He was way up high, and I had to get my It's not a very good picture because I had to use my telephoto lens to get him. I didn't really get a good shot of him, but anyway, he was sitting there. And here's the buses that we use. I just want to tell you that. This to show you what the buses were. Now, we went from Tena to Tena. Espresso bottles. Espresso. Baño. Is it baño? Is that how you pronounce it? Baño. Okay. Anyway, this is the one we went up to. Quite an experience going to Quito from there. It's the same way. They stop wherever they want to. It took 5 hours to go through the mountains to get to Quito. And this is our last look at the river, and I almost had tears. I said, I'm leaving this paradise. I have to leave. We crossed the river. I said, look at how small the river is up there. This is up at 10. See how big it was down in Coca? Look at it is here. It's just like a little stream up there. And this is the last time we saw the river. We left and we went up into the cloud forest. And there's butterflies there too. I mean, there's all species there. We just didn't have time. But you could actually do a study just up in the cloud forest. And this is one of the homes we saw. We thought, look at all the plants and stuff. I thought it was kind of fun to take a picture of that. And these are the villages. And now this is going through the Andes. This is what you see as you drive through the Andes. Through these passes. You see all these peaks and everything. And it's just absolutely gorgeous. Ecuador is a beautiful country. It's an actual beautiful country. And I got finally a picture of some indigenous people in indigenous clothing. It's so hard because they're so Americanized. You go into town and everybody's wearing, you saw even those indigenous Indians, they were wearing, one person had New York Yankees on their shirt. I said, this is what I want to see. But this couple has actually Ecuadorian clothes on. These are indigenous people. So I said, stop the bus! I got to get this picture. They were just on the side of the road by their house. The end.